Happy Tuesday and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Rocketeer Minute, where each and every day, Monday through Friday, we go over 1 minute of the greatest movie Walt Disney's ever made, the 1991 Joe Johnston-directed feature, The Rocketeer. I'm one of your hosts, Jim O'Kane of TVDads.com.
And I'm Hal Bryan, an airplane nerd from the Experimental Aircraft Association here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Now, Jim, I don't know about you, but I am still kind of reeling from yesterday's guest, our chat with Danny Bilson. I can't wait to have him back.
It really was. I can't, when we started doing, and I know we go over this all the time, I still can't get over the caliber of the guests that we have on this show. It's just having one of the guys who wrote this, and we're going to have, hopefully Paul DeMeo will join us too sometime soon. But just having the people that created this, that were involved in the many iterations of the Rocketeer. It's just astonishing.
Well, it's incredible too, as the guests just seem to, we've had amazing guests from the beginning, but the bar just keeps getting higher and higher while you and I just remain so average.
Yes.
And so good for us.
Yeah, and this is going to be a very average episode. We don't have a guest today, but we can talk about a bunch of stuff going on here in this endless bedroom, especially Neville's rather large wardrobe of women's clothing. It's just, I'm assuming these are leftovers from previous rendezvous, or maybe he just really knows a good sale when he sees one.
It's it could be almost anything. So he's looking back at Jenny, and it's funny. He rushes over there, he opens the closet, and he's going to pick something out for her to wear, and he takes that extra glance over his shoulder, and I always want. Is he?
Yeah, she's about a size 8, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. As he's literally sizing her up. I think is exactly what's happening there. Yeah. And then he opens it up, and then, as you said, he's got this huge collection of things, and part of me wonders what happened to those women. Are they in the basement? Are they,
Yeah, this is his ex-wife got the other house, and he found a secret closet. Here's some of the stuff she left behind.
Right. Or his first, 3 or 4 ex-wives. Who can say?
Yeah, and he had an interesting range of clothes. He picks out like a peach grandma number, and then what looks like a spider web. Just kind of, it's
right.
Rather,
this filmy black thing.
Yeah. Do I want opaque or nah?
Apparently not in this case.
Apparently can't make it all the way back to the closet. It's just like, let's just drop this on the floor. The maid can handle it in the morning.
So something I was always wondering about was the age difference between the two. So how creepy is this? And I was just looking up. So Timothy Dalton was born in 1946. So he's 45 when this movie is being made and was airing.
And she's all of 19.
She's 19. So
yeah,
a real sort of May, December sort of thing. And not even May, December of the same year.
No. It's not quite as bad as my previous movie with Airport, where 53-year-old Dean Martin was going after 24-year-old Jacqueline Bisset.
Yeah, it's probably just about exactly the same.
Yeah.
And Dean Martin, what are you going to do?
Quite a thing, yeah.
Try and stop him.
He doesn't follow the back teeth rule. That generally, if your back teeth are older than the person you're dating, there's a problem. It's just, and I do admire one thing. I do know, being in a domestic relationship with a married woman, as I'm a married man.
You could just say you're married. And
yeah, that's true. But it doesn't sound as enticing.
Now, when you're in a domestic relationship with this married woman, does her husband know? I guess is my question.
He's starting to catch on. Yeah.
Okay.
My wife and I continually talk about, or we don't. We've stopped talking about them because we have reached a solution. I have different choices on coat hangers than I guess they are. They're all coat hangers to me, but apparently
to me they are all as coat hangers. But so where are you? Are you plastic, wood, wire?
I'm a plastic extruded type. I have a large collection of plastic extruded, but my wife has this thing that it's either from, as seen on TV or something. We actually had to order them. They were ordered through Amazon, and some woman has come up with a half width hanger, and it has kind of a velour finish on it, and apparently it holds shirts and things in place. And it takes up a lot less room than your average hanger. She has we have a left-right kind of walk-in closet, and her left side is very neatly arranged. And I have many different colors of extruded coat hangers that I've had over the years. I have gotten rid of all my wire. I no longer have the remainders from dry cleaners. I do not have wire coat hangers.
You don't have any of those, so no more wire hangers.
Exactly. Yes.
Jimmy dearest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Joan can't get me on that.
That's right. I always that always makes me think too of there was an episode of Futurama that did a parody of that, and some young robot was sort of sloppy and had some wires hanging out, and it was no more hanging wires. So it's interesting. Around here, we have I think almost exclusively the plastic kind. A few of the wood ones, like one of the wood ones with a bit more body to them for suit coats and things like that. But pretty much plastic. As you say, stay away from the wires.
I have a couple that have like the clips to hold pants, but I never remember that they're there, so I usually grab a plastic one and just kind of drape the pants over the underside of the hypotenuse of the triangle there.
The hypotenuse of the hanger, if you will. You know, something that I didn't know until fairly recently was that there's people who think that none other than Thomas Jefferson invented the first wooden clothes hanger. I hadn't come across that in the past. Otherwise, if you dig in a little bit deeper, there was let's see, what do we see here? There was a guy who worked for a company called Timberlake Wire and Novelty Company, which just sounds fantastic. I want to go to work there, who was credited with the invention of the early wire ones. But there was somebody who built a coat hook in Connecticut in 1869, and that seems to be very similar to what we did. This guy, Albert J. Parkhouse of Timberlake Wire and Novelty, was frustrated. He got to work. All the coat hooks were taken, so he took a piece of wire and bent it into a shape and hung his coat up. And they said that may be where they started.
I'm thinking of Herr Todt in Raiders of the Lost Ark with that rather substantial... Well, actually, that was lifted off of a previous Spielberg movie. If you ever watch 1941...
Oh, really? That was in the same one?
Yeah, Christopher Lee has the same maneuver where he looks like he's about to pull out nunchucks and it turns into a coat. But I guess nobody watched that, so Spielberg reused it in Raiders. I have a rather substantial one from the Petersham Hotel in Surrey. I left, back when I was working for British Aerospace, I had left a suit jacket in the closet, and I had written to them and said, I left my suit jacket, and I don't know if it got turned into lost and found, and I know this is a big ask, but could you send me my suit, and I'll pay for whatever charges? And they said, no worries, we can... You're a good customer. We'll send, and they sent me not only my suit, but they sent the most substantial. I can't describe it. It's almost like a saddle made out of wood that my coat, what my suit jacket would hang on.
Really?
And I have it to this day, and I treasure it as a. It's just like I think there are carved wooden boats that are less detailed than this this coat hanger, and I will treasure it always. I have a very nice. This was many suits ago, but I have a very nice jacket sitting on top of it, and I'm very appreciative.
And that's Surrey in the UK, not Surrey in British Columbia in Canada.
Yes, or Surrey with a fringe on top. It's not none of those. Yeah. I do know that I do not know what the name is, but the type of hanger that he's using for the women's wear that is in his closet has a specific name, and I have no idea what it is, but I know that those, the padding...
that sort of padded wood, or the padding presumably over wood or something else?
Yeah, and it's frequently loaded with naphtha as mothballs
interesting.
To prevent infestations. I wish I knew what the name of it was, but then I'd sound smart.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Do admire I look at this thing and I think, my closet has a door on it, but this is like... It has a beveled paneling that's holding those full-length mirrors in. It's just quite an amazing job for a set that was only used for 3 minutes in a movie.
That really is substantial, and it's hard to... It gives that... there's that illusion there, too, with the mirrors that are off to the left behind him. When Dalton isn't in the frame, you could almost believe that this closet just keeps on going.
Oh, yeah, it looks like miles of clothing there.
Miles and miles of... extra women's negligees.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Just in case, the size 4s or the size 14s show up, you've got it covered. He's amazing. He's just a fashion bug upstairs. And then we still have Jenny working her wiles with her neck and saying all the right lines that she'd just been given all this information of what he thinks works or what he believes in, and he believes in old movie lines. And
right.
She's going on about, what am I doing? You've kidnapped all this other... nonsense.
So confused. I don't know what to think. And
the world is spinning.
And when you first see the film, no spoilers, but you could think, and in fact, if this were a movie of 1938, she might be sincere at this point. She might not actually be playing him. That would be a more traditional sort of he weaker damsel in distress kind of thing to really be falling for it. And of course, we know better.
Yeah, she might believe he's a would-be rogue who's trapped in a world of lies, and she's there to rescue him.
Yeah, because obviously he got her attention, and he's the dreamy Neville Sinclair.
Yeah,
and And there was a point when she would have liked him to have drunk of her lips as deeply.
I do wonder, one thing that bothered, the only anachronistic thing in this particular minute is Neville's haircut. I don't think that's a 30s haircut. I don't recall men cutting their hair almost Star Trek style, where that rise from the side, there's almost no sideburn, and it just kind of generally goes up the ear.
Right. It is awfully well feathered, isn't it? I would expect him to have a bit more gloss to his hair, and maybe not heavily brill creamed like a band leader, but something along those lines.
Just does not seem to be. I mean, I understand it's a 90s movie and they have to relate to 90s sensibilities, but it just seems more of a 90s haircut than a 30s haircut. It doesn't quite take me out of the moment. His gigolo mustache saves all of that. So.
Right. But you go back and look at photos of Errol Flynn, who was so, Neville Sinclair is so well patterned after. Even in stuff like Robin Hood and things like that, it was still very firmly put in place with Brill cream or whatever he was using at the time.
And he might have even had a perm at the time. I mean, the Douglas Fairbanks looks and stuff like that. It was curlier hair, so I think he would have had it a little more coiffed. Such as this is 1991. This is how people look in movies from then. I wish we could get a better look at his wristwatch. He's kind of early in the wristwatch phase. Wristwatches were common, but not that common. They were more like the aviators at the time would be the ones to wear wristwatches.
Right.
He might be doing it to seem cosmopolitan or modern, or
it's. I don't get a great look at it. I'm scrubbing back through again. I keep getting this hint that it's rectangular and maybe sort of a more slender rectangle.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more in the Longines line, or it could be a Hamilton.
You think maybe a Patek Philippe?
That's possible. I mean, he is a European type.
True. He's not from around here.
Yeah.
And as the number 3 box office star in America, he presumably could afford it. I'm just putting that out there.
I think I know somebody who might own that particular watch. We'll have to check with our good Finhead friend Mike. Mike,
exactly.
if you're out listening and you do happen to have Neville's timepiece, let us know.
Or if you've seen a picture of it, or you can give us some other inside dirt. I keep forgetting there's less and less room for guesswork in this crazy world of the Rocketeer, thanks to our resources.
Our Palm. I keep thinking of them as the Palm Terrace Irregulars. So it's
it's excellent, and they live in a gazebo.
Yes. I do like the way she manages to block the kiss here. Just so, like he's got the wind up in the pitch, and then she's just right there at the at the plate going, how about if I get into it? Or would you like to see me in this?
Yeah, I want to slip into something more comfortable.
Yeah,
that old shtick.
And we roll out of that sequence with him watching her go, and of course, the vanity of the man is he stops looking at that brunette that walked out, and it's like, hey, look at that movie star there in the mirror.
Right, that smile that he gives, and then the little frown.
He's just
and
great.
I think it's right into the next minute. Is it right in the next minute we see he's suddenly sort of discomfited by his looks?
Picking the spinach out from between his whatever salad he was, or maybe it was in the soup.
It was probably. He's probably got some soup stuck in his teeth.
Oregano, or
We've all been there, right? You're on a date, you think you're looking fine, and then you notice you've got soup in your teeth.
It's a fantastic bit of acting. It shows, it's kind of a magnifying glass it's just kind of a little short window into the soul of Neville. And as we talked with Mr. Bilson yesterday, this seems to be it wasn't in the script, and it was a creation of Timothy Dalton, who he's obviously played many parts like this before, and he knows what would a vain actor do in this part. I don't know that he's a vain actor, but I think he'd know how to play that with relish and get a bit of a comedy part.
Well, and it's fascinating too, because it points to this narcissism, which is very easy to buy from what we know about Neville Sinclair. So that's that. It's like he's watching her walk away, and he's enjoying that view, but then catches a glimpse of himself and gives himself a quick smile. And it's this interesting combination of narcissism, but it's also a little bit of humanity. I mean, who among us on a date, if she excuses herself for a moment, we wouldn't double check. Just, oh my God, my hair's looked like what? It's this. Have I been like this the entire time? Why didn't you tell me I had that thing on my face?
Yeah, I'd be breathing into his hand.
Exactly.
Is it the soup? I don't know.
Somebody have some Banaka.
He reminds me, I know we're going to go off movie here, but the remake or the second or one of the many remakes of King Kong, the one with Kyle Chandler is in it from Friday Night Lights. He plays in the the 2005 version of King Kong.
Oh, the Jack Black,
the Jack Black one, yeah, okay. Adrian Brody and all that. And
yeah,
Kyle Chandler he's the movie star in the scene, and he had in the cabin on the Venture, he had his own little cabin, and all of his movie posters were up on the wall, and somebody in the crew had gone in and drawn mustaches on his character. Yeah, it was like Rough Trade was one of the names of the movies, and they had drawn a mustache on the character, and he looked at it and was angry, and then he looked back at it, and then he picks up a comb and holds it under his nose right. and looks in the mirror and goes, "Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad."
Yeah, it would work.
That kind of echoed here, even though it's the other way around, that he probably picked that idea up from watching Dalton, but it just it does give you a bit of empathy for him, that it's like, oh gosh, I'm here with this beautiful young lady, and do I measure up to this? And I just this is the most likable I've seen Neville Sinclair in the entire film.
Right.
It's just going to go down from here.
Other than maybe initially, before we know that he's up to anything, we have any reason to suspect him. I mean, he's always been sort of too slick and too smooth, so there's not a ton of likability. But when Cliff brings down the set of the Laughing Bandit on his head, there's an interesting scene there we talked about at the time. It was almost similar to this in that he's upset and he's angry and he's worried, but then he sees people watching him, so he's quick to smile and make his joke about bringing down the house. And that I think is, you can kind of read that two ways as well. Part of it is vanity. It's just, oh no, I'm fine. I've got to keep up my image. And then part of it too is I'm going to be sort of charming and relax everybody, make sure nobody's worried about me, because
good old Neville.
Good old Neville.
Yeah,
was just one of the guys.
Yeah, I'm not a sociopath and ready to bring down America.
Exactly. And just remember, there are two jerks in the country worse than him.
Yeah, that's true.
We know that thanks to Paul Sorvino. He's only the number 3 jerk.
Well, this isn't the greatest. This isn't the largest action minute. We do get an interesting byplay between the two right. actors there, and they played a good scene. You wonder how. I wish we could talk to either of them to find out how they set up for this scene, or what they practiced or discussed how they were going to play it out. Because obviously, as we were talking with Danny yesterday, that there was a bit of creativity required of the actors in this movie. So,
right. And I'm always interested in setups for things like this. When I have to imagine, and you've been closer to this world than I have, and I had a very small minor in film and video stuff in college a million years ago. But anytime you're working on a set like this with this many mirrors, that's got to just be frustrating.
It must be hellacious with the cameras. You right. know that they probably have tape marks on the walls and stoppers on the bottoms of each of the doors so that they know this far and no farther.
Right, because when you get about second 48 or so of this minute where we're actually using the mirror, using the reflection, you've got Jenny and Neville beautifully framed off to the left of the screen, and then on the right side of the screen, we're just seeing her sort of from the waist up, straight from behind, and see his hand on her back, and it's suggesting this, it's reinforcing that intimacy in this scene, and us sort of peeking in on it appropriately or otherwise.
And not just the camera. I mean, you have to consider the lights, the extra text that are back there, making sure that back wall is lit correctly and not overdoing it from the back. So it's just
making sure that the actress's boyfriend doesn't show up and knock the whole thing over.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, try to remember that it's not that those back walls are not 1/4-inch plywood. It's just not
exactly. Although that would have been a great case of life imitating art.
Literally
Billy
breaking
walked
that
in at this
fourth
point.
Wall.
Yes, literally breaking the fourth wall and the first through third.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's been a great minute, and there's more minutes to come, but it's an interesting byplay of actors here. I enjoy that, but we'll continue a little bit more as they each continue their own. Can't even tell who's faking. I mean, who's faking who? They're both faking, really. It's just different kinds of faking.
Right.
They'll keep drumming this little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Although, Neville's faking is, he's at least sincere about what he wants.
Yeah.
He is, regardless of his plots for sort of world domination, flying commandos, the works. He's very much embroiled in the art of seduction here.
Yeah. I mean, he just wants the Jenny. He's not that interested in Secord. He's still trying to get the rocket pack. He's lost. I mean, is he later on in the movie when we're at we're going a little bit ahead, but when we're at the blimp and he says the rocket will come to us, is this the seed of that? Is he thinking that Secord knows where Jenny's at?
Yeah, I think he must because of everything that's gone on at the South Seas Club. I think he has shorter term ill intentions in mind. Sort of,
Yeah, this is his
for adults only ill intentions in mind.
Yeah, his grocery break. So
let's run to Ralph's, honey.
Yes, pick up a few things. So anyway, he's in the. Well, let's get back to the 15 items or less line tomorrow, and we'll talk a little bit more about this particular scene and see how this literal scene plays out. For those of you who'd like to join us on social media and discuss your your clothing hanger options in your house and how big your closet is, or what's in your closet, I don't think they've ever sold credit cards like that, but you never know. We'd love to hear about that. You can find us on all the different kinds of social media. You can find us out there on Twitter at, of course, Rocketeer Minute. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rocketeer Minute. Find us at the big site, rocketeerminute.com, and catch up on all previous 76 episodes that are already out there and more to come. So if you're listening to this after we've already finished, you've got a bunch more to go and things to look forward to. We are always happy if you would go out to iTunes or Google Play and subscribe. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and type in Rocketeer Minute and hit the subscribe button when it comes up, and you'll get us delivered hot and fresh every morning, Monday through Friday. If you go to iTunes, I know Google Play doesn't have a review, but iTunes does. If you could leave a review on iTunes for us, that always helps other people find this wonderful, wonderful program. So join us here tomorrow as we find out what's going on in the house of Neville Sinclair. And I think we have a pretty good idea what it is. But join us here tomorrow on the Rocketeer Minute. So until next time, over and out.